All right, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to Andrew Wilson versus Marxist Feminist debate on abortion. Let's jump in.
The USSR was the first country to make abortion fully legal, up to term, and paid for in state hospitals. Within 10 years of
Remember this argument, right?
implementing that policy, they had 3 abortions for every 1 live birth, and they had to outlaw abortion again.
Again, what time frame?
I'm trying to pull the dates up here.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, essentially, against like the conditions.
Looks like around 1920.
1920.
Yeah, later restricted then banned in 36 because of this problem. So it was 1920 through 36, right around roughly the same exact time as what other amendment was 1920? Do you know? Amendment in the United States, 1920.
Yeah, the right to vote?
Yeah. So
I'm
right
sorry,
around,
are you saying that's correlated somehow?
No. I just think it's interesting that the right to vote and feminism, because in the 20s it was roaring, and same thing in Russia, but they had 3 abortions for every 1 live birth. They had to outlaw it. Literally had to outlaw. They didn't
I mean, that was a time where Russia was a pretty war-torn country, wasn't it? Because Stalin was overthrowing the monarch regime and the Bolsheviks.
Yeah, they definitely needed to have human beings. They knew that, but that was the problem is that if you have 3 to 1 on the live births, you can't sustain the nation. So when they reintroduced it in 56, it looks like that's the time period that they re-legalized it, was in 56, had significant regulations on it to prevent that from happening. So hang on, so I'm just saying, the reason I bring this up is because you claim, well, descriptively, this isn't happening now. Okay, but descriptively, it was happening when it was allowed without laws against it. So I have actual evidence
Right, so again, like obviously this can be conditional outcomes depending on certain things. Do you think that the sooner you have an abortion, the better?
I mean, I don't see how, like, from my specific worldview, from the secular worldview, because I always think abortion's wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that would be one of my argumentations, is that if you were having essentially a society to where medical access wasn't available, or it was at a high cost, then this could delay obviously your opportunity to get an abortion, which may cause it in later stages of pregnancy.
Yeah, that's rare.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
That in later
Man,
stages.
I forgot how disingenuous she does. What do you mean? Why even saying that? Like, we understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to use past. You're trying to control the conversation. I said this multiple times. Man. Like,
Stages of pregnancy.
Yeah, that's rare.
That's rare. That's rare. Oh, what do you mean? That is rare. It doesn't happen that often. That what do you mean? It's just disingenuous to make sure she can take control of the conversation. That's what it is. She's trying to survive. She's trying to survive the debate. In that way, she can go to her own TikTok and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I just went against Andrew Wilson and I stood my ground. Like, it's not even about the truth, guys.
That in later stages of pregnancy, you're going to have abortions, right? Isn't that what you said?
No, it is rare because access is available. So I'm saying if it's happening later in pregnancy, it's most likely because there are times where access is not available.
Yeah. Okay. So from your view, you're just saying, like, because you don't see a distinction, right? You just think life begins in some arbitrary point, like 24 weeks or something, tied in with consciousness or something silly, right?
Something silly.
Well, it is silly because you can't define consciousness. It's not.
I remember this one.
I mean, do you think you have a subjective experience?
Sure, but that's
what
not
is that
defining.
Subjective experience made of?
That's the conscious debate, right? I don't know why they put this clip again, but this is the conscious debate, right? This is where Andrew Wilson basically say, you know what? Conscious is just an abstract concept. We can define it. We cannot point at it. We cannot really see it. And she said, no. You can point it. You can see it. You can touch it. You can eat it.
Defining consciousness.
What is that subjective experience made of?
I have no idea. Do you? What's it made of?
I think it's made of a lot of different components of things, but the fact that you recognize that it exists
doesn't define what it is.
And what do you mean? What kind of definition do you want?
Well, tell me what consciousness is. The ability to have experiences?
Yeah.
So, are you saying that you have no experiences when you're unconscious?
Well, I think there's other aspects of experience that not just only go into
So you
terms
are
of
having experiences? even when you're unconscious?
Well, I don't think consciousness and being conscious are necessarily the same thing.
They're not?
No, like I wouldn't say that like someone who is sleeping doesn't have consciousness, even though
But
they're
you don't
unconscious.
believe that when you're
I'm sorry,
sleeping, you're
could
completely
we-
unconscious.
I'm sorry? What?
You said earlier you don't believe when you're sleeping, you're completely unconscious. When we're talking about grape.
You're completely unconscious?
Yeah, you said you didn't believe that you're completely unconscious when you sleep.
You are unconscious. That was my main tenet, is that you're having sex with someone who's unconscious.
Yeah. Okay, so then if you're not unconscious, if you are unconscious when you're asleep, are you experiencing things when you sleep?
Yes, you can still experience
Then
stimuli.
how could you be unconscious?
Because of other qualia. Qualia, sensation, emotions, your ability to dream.
If consciousness then is defined as one
Do you
who
think
has
babies-
hang on.
Oh,
If
sorry.
consciousness is expressed as one who has experiences,
I
hang
You
on.
see how she wanted to move the goalpost so quick. I remember this, and Andrew was not having it.
I'm sorry. Can we get
no,
back
no,
to?
we can't.
See,
I
see,
just
Well,
want
I
to
feel
make
like
sure.
we pivoted from.
No, we really didn't pivot. You
we
pivoted
did,
it here.
No. You said arbitrarily at 24 weeks. That's a different subject than what we were talking about.
Yeah,
She's
but
afraid.
I
We
just
can
want to
table that, but
She's
I want
afraid.
to get
finish
back
this
to the
real quick.
20.
It'll only take 1 second.
Oh, fine.
See,
Consciousness,
she just got caught in a very weak argument. Now she's afraid.
one who has experiences is conscious. If you're having experience when you're unconscious, then you can't be then you must have consciousness even when you're unconscious, right?
Yes, there are aspects that you can have consciousness when you are unconscious. I
So
don't
are
think
you
that
actually
those are
unconscious?
synonyms. Yes, because I think unconscious and consciousness are different.
What?
Like,
What's different? I have no consciousness, or I do?
what is being conscious to you?
I don't. Well, it's not a thing again that's definable, really.
I'm just in terms of, so you when your wife is sleeping, that's as good as she's awake
What do you mean?
in terms of conscious and unconscious
Yeah, I think that she still has consciousness.
when she's sleeping,
Yes.
even though she's unconscious.
Right. Well,
we
no, she's not.
agree.
No, she's
Then we
not. I don't
agree.
think she's unconscious. I think she's knocked out.
What's the
Wait,
difference?
this
Well,
is
this
a
is-
knocked out argument, right?
The thing about consciousness, like I said, it's not definable. I think, therefore, I am is the best we can come up with.
But we agree
On what?
that when you're sleeping, you're still have consciousness.
Whatever, man. The conscience. Let me see what people say in the comment section. This lady's the most respectful, even-tempered, polite, wrong person I have ever seen. But that's only because she's playing. She's basically playing a role. She's playing the role of not allowing the truth to come by or go through the message. She's the one trying to, make sure these arguments don't come farther enough. I give props to her. I give props to her for what? For sitting down, having that conversation? Really? That should be the default setting. Very few people have been able to hold their own without being impulsive or yelling. Abortion still. Bro, you guys have to stop giving respect way too quick. Way too quick. She didn't exactly hold her own. All her argument fell apart, and she has resorted to the usual evasion tactic by saying, I will need to see the data. Yeah, they're moving all the goalposts. Yeah. And Andrew was okay with that. Because for Andrew, she moved the goalposts. It's more information he can get for later on what? Bring it back to reality. It's going to destroy her own argument with her own, mindset. Why are we giving props for people being regular human adults? Yeah, that's my argument right here. Just for being respectful. The effort that some women put in to justify murder is insane, and that's the only issue they vote for. That's the only issue they vote for. They're literally a single, how do they call it? Single voters, single issue voters. Let me see. The stupid to confident ratio on this woman should be studied. The mental gymnastics of this woman is insane. She says, in the third trimester, there are different methods used. Yet what she won't say is, a mechanical tool is used. Yeah! Because it will trigger emotional curiousness. In the third trimester, there are. Alright? That's the first thing. And then the second one, different method used. But she's not saying tools to go in and snap the baby. Damn, man. I can't even read that shit. I can't even read that, bro. I can, man. I can. Damn. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. We'll see you next one.